Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode. This time I'm talking about the physical body, and it is a story that I want to share with you guys. So you guys know I've always talked about, I feel that when I am under some kind of psychic attack or energies are moving into my body, they come through the back of my neck. And so I use protection ointments, and I'm always making sure that if I'm in public, I have something in that space to hold an extra level of protection. So how do I know this is that I get pains there, and it's not like a normal pain of like a muscle pain, or I don't have back issues either, so it feels like it's not chronic. It's not like it's consistently there. I feel when the energy comes through there and it's painful. So about a month ago, I was sleeping and I woke up because the pain in that area back here, which is like at the very right underneath my skull, like right in that little divot there. It was so intense, the pain, that I just asked my higher self. I asked for help. I said, please make this either go away or help me understand what it is. I need help. I need help. I need help. And then I fell back asleep. And when I woke back up, the pain was gone. And that day, I was doing work around the house and I was listening to a podcast. And with everything, I always use my intuition when I tune into other people's energy work. And in the case of this one, it was just like this particular episode, this thing just called to me. And I'm going to read to you what was shared. And in this, it was about 30 minutes into the episode. I knew this was my higher self bringing me what I needed to hear. Alta major and the thalamus complex. In the Guardian context, the Alta major center is located at the base of the skull where the neck meets the skull. This is considered the thalamus complex, the ninth morphogenic chakra that directly corresponds to the medulla oblongata and access to the universal Akhenaten current. As a result of this placement in the head, it is also referenced to as the mouth of God or goddess. This energy center in the light body directly regulates many aspects of the brain and glandular function, and the circuitry connects into the Hara center, which represents the location where the monadic identity first anchors into the physical body. In order to maintain connection and communication with the higher heart center located in the thalamus gland, and to build the crystal lotus breath configuration within the sacred crystal heart, the three major energy centers in the head must be linked together and then sustained. These three energy centers operate as a trinity and connect into three major brain glands, the hypothalamus, the pituitary, and the pineal. The energetic circuitry links between them exist from on the top of the head to the middle of the forehead or top middle hairline, and then to the base of the skull. This trinity circuit communicates with the nomadic consciousness layers, bringing the communication vibration down into the body, and then the spiritual blueprint pattern is spoken through the throat center and the voice box. The Trinity pattern circuitry allows conscious awareness of our deep heart expression to be brought into the earth realm by bringing one's personal spiritual mission or divine purpose into physical actualization. The Alta Major Center is an extremely sensitive portal of high consciousness awareness, which alerts us to the signature of negative energies, entities, or toxic influences in the environment. As a sensitive portal of consciousness that links directly into the brain and higher heart complex, it is highly susceptible to a range of implants, psychic attacks, and misalignment. When the Alta Major Center is misaligned, it interferes with brain function, heart-centered communication, and higher sensory perception. Blockages in the Alta neck center may result in an assortment of physical ailments and spiritual blockages, most importantly, repelling full monadic embodiment and preventing the permanent seed activation in the higher heart complex from building out the crystal lotus and rose heart configurations. The Alta Major Center is connected to the atlas bone, or C1, which is the very first bone in the neck. It is a ring-like bone at the junction of where the skull and the neck meet. The atlas bone supports the weight of the skull, has facets that allow the head to move up and down, and is responsible for the equilibrium management of the spine. The second neck bone is called the axis, or the C2, which is just below the atlas bone, which allows the head to move from side to side. Together, the atlas and axis bone are referred to as the upper cervical spine. The atlas and axis are important neurologically because the brain stem extends down to the axis, which controls and coordinates virtually all of our body's vital functions. If this important junction is blocked, implanted, or misaligned, it blocks the thalamus complex and the ninth chakra opening, which is the medulla spiritual gateway through which our monadic identity can embody, and our consciousness can gain access into higher dimensions. Most people on Earth have been subjected to a variety of physical and emotional traumas, which have contributed to the lodging of a variety of implants and suppressor energy parasites to prevent soul and monadic embodiment. This is directly related to the Atlas C1 Axis C2 dislocation in the back of the cranium and spine, along with complications caused from unremoved crucifixion implants. In my years of research and successfully removing these implants from my own body, it is believed that the atlas and axis dislocation is a part of the weakness created in the body that allows energy parasites to become more easily embodied, blocking the process of natural spiritual embodiment. This is a general overlay observed as an alien implant that has intentionally dislocated the atlas, axis, and source appears to be connected to the hidden history of the Anunnaki genetic manipulation on the earth as a result of the Luciferian rebellion and Michael Wars. In some cases, people may have success with etheric session work, or it may be helpful to undergo structural realignment through the physical treatment of an atlas adjustment. The process of realignment is called an atlas adjustment, and a qualified chiropractor uses a specific tool that is from Switzerland. This tool is like a little hammer that pounds reverberation on the back of the atlas to center the skull, foramen magnum hole, so the skeletal neck is perfectly balanced on top of the spine. Naturally, there is a lot of controversy around this procedure, so this is something to deeply consider in that it requires further research and personal discernment. So as I heard this information, it was like, ding, ding, ding. This is for you. This is what's happening. This is what you've known it intuitively, but this is actually what's happening. So I decided to Google atlas adjustment, and it came up as atlas adjustment in your area. So I clicked that, and it turned out that there was a chiropractor that specializes in this adjustment that was about an hour from where I live. And so I called and talked to him, and of course he's like, who's referring you? This is a very specific situation, and so I had to give him the full story of why I believed I had this. And, I said, you're going to have to keep an open mind because I'm not being referred by another doctor. I just know that I have this. And so finally, we meet up it turned out actually the day I was supposed to meet him was the day that I tested positive for COVID. So that first one was not allowed to happen. And then we had those intense solar waves come through, and I know that I wasn't ready for the alignment now and after the fact, because it's an intense alignment, and I think I had some more upgrading to do before I was ready to flush that through my system. So I finally met with him, and it's a 3-hour appointment where, you go through the normal clinical intake, and you talk about where the pain is. He does a physical examination. And then if at that point the signs are pointing to that you do have this misalignment, then you have x-rays taken. And he did 3 different x-rays of my head and neck to get it from all different angles. So I believe one is from the front, straight on. And then one was from overhead bird's eye view. And then the other one was from behind to see if it's like twisted. So then after he gets the x-rays, all in his system, then he does measurements and can see exactly how many degrees the atlas is off. So the atlas itself, it looks like a little bow tie, and it should be centered. It should be like centered to your skull, both horizontal and vertically. And mine was tipped up on the left. I think it's 2.6 degrees. So it would, if you're watching on YouTube, it looked like that. And he said normal for him is anyone between 1% and 7%. And that range is where he usually will treat. And so mine was on the lower end of extreme. But he did say that most of the time these happen because of a car accident or some trauma that will dislodge it. Of course, he doesn't think about implants. And even me, I have to say that when I heard that part of this download, I was like, I don't believe I've been abducted, and I don't believe I have an implant in my neck, but I do know that there is energy going through there that's not mine. And so for me, I have to let go of how it happened, because I don't know. There wasn't a car accident that I got into or any specific moment where I can say, oh, I have pain from this point on. And he also said that this is associated with a lot of headaches, which I don't have. So I didn't have any of the aftermarket symptoms of if you have a misaligned atlas, you would have. I just knew that there was something wrong there. So then after we review the results, he has this machine that he calibrates to exactly the degree of your misalignment. And then you lay down on your side and kind of put your head under the machine. And the machine looks like this metal probe that, it looks scary because he's doing all these measurements and it has this metal probe, and you're just like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? But he goes, I want you to touch it, and I'm going to push the button so you can feel what it's going to feel like on your hand. So he does it. It's like, boom, boom. It sounds like a boom, boom. But it feels like nothing. It feels like just a tap almost, but from a probe. But it's as hard as a tap, okay? So then he had me lay down, and he aligns the thalamus the atlas has, it looks like a little bow tie, and then it has like these little kind of struts outside of that bow tie. And that little strut is right here underneath your ear. And you can feel it. It's a little bone there. And so he has me lay down, and he put the probe right there on that bone. And basically he's trying to, where my atlas is like this, he's trying to tap it back down into place. Because from the results, mine isn't twisted. It was just at an angle. So I lay down. So he puts the probe, like he measures and puts my head in this kind of vice where I can't move it. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna just do a couple taps, and literally he's like 1, 2, 3, and you don't feel any, I mean, it's literally like someone tapping you. It's nothing more than that. So then he's like, okay, I want you to sit up. And I was like, that's it? And I sit up, and then he's like, just wait, you probably are going to get lightheaded. And all of a sudden, I got lightheaded, and there was this warm kind of like melting wax feeling coming through the left side of my body. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, just wait, like just breathe into it, just allow. And I was like, I don't know. And I was telling him how I'm feeling, and that I'm feeling all this intense like heat pull through this whole left side of my body, which I forgot to say in the physical examination. Part of my misalignment was that my left leg was a ½ inch shorter than my right. He described that when you are out of alignment, you're tense, like your body's constantly trying to compensate and equal things out, but it originates from that atlas. So my left side was like tense, trying to pull that atlas back into shape. So, and all those muscles were so constricted that it had shortened my whole leg and alignment on my left side. So what I was feeling is all of a sudden this like melting just went through my whole body. And it felt like, I mean, I can't really describe anything but melting, because I can't relate it to anything. Even if you get a really deep tissue massage, what I find is that it's painful, and it's like, kneading of dough kind of, to get the muscle to relax. This was like coming from up in my head, moving downward and just melting into the rest of the body. So then he did another physical exam and like was touching the points that were really painful before, and seeing if they had released after about 5 minutes of letting that just sit in. And the ones on the left felt like almost healed, like 100% better, but there was one on the right that was still kind of painful. And he goes, we're going to try one more and see if I can get it a little bit better. So I lay back down, and he does one more tap, and I sit back up, and it's like, again, like like you are waiting for about 10 minutes to let it just kind of work through. And then he checked again, and he's like, okay, it's not perfect, but it's way better than it was. And I want you to like sit with this for a couple of weeks before we will recheck it and see what else we can do. And he said that, it's common for, as these muscles are released, for you to get like other symptoms. Like you could get headaches, you could get even cold symptoms, or you could have like traumas that you've already gone through, like pains come back through, because it's like flushing all of that stuff through. And this morning I woke up and I had a sore throat, and I had my left hip is a little bit like tender, which nothing happened during the night, but I can feel that everything is kind of now where I was like hitched up on my left, it's kind of falling back into place. And it's all like, he said it takes like a couple weeks for it to kind of settle down. And he said sometimes people's bodies will the atlas will go right back into that position. So he said usually that's like 2 or 3 follow-up appointments to just make sure that it will stay in balance. But so far, I feel like my equilibrium changed, and it's like all of a sudden the tension that I didn't even realize I was carrying. I knew there was a problem there, but I didn't realize it was such, you just compensate. You don't realize that you're compensating, but it feels like melted wax on this side of my body now. And as far as the connection, because I told him, I don't have headaches, and I don't have, other than once in a while I get intense pain there. That's not really why I came. For me, it's to open my channel and to embody my monetic experience, my higher self, to allow, because I told him what's happening is when I feel pain, it's energy trying to move through, and there it's off, like something fell off. So I feel like, so last night as I went to sleep, because this just happened yesterday, I was hearing these high pitches, which is not uncommon for me. I do hear tones, But at this time, instead of it being a pitch, it felt like a chorus. And I was like, I got up and I looked around and I'm like, like, is it a fan? Like, what's happening? And it's almost like it cleared out the channel. I don't know how else to describe it. And I wanted to share this because I think that it's something that we all probably, like, I got home and I was telling Richard about it. His hips have always been misaligned and he always has had hip issues. So he stretches every night. And I told him, I really want you to do this because it all originates from that point, that Atlas point. And everything after that is trying to adjust to that centered point. And I feel like most people probably have this misalignment. And when people get to the point where they're having these symptoms of, like, neck pain and back pain and head pain, that's just the symptom of this one misalignment. But think about it in terms of connection. Like, if you are able to open up your channel to its fullest capacity, why wouldn't we? All I did was Google Atlas adjustment, and there was a specialist in my area. I know I have a friend in Northern California that hasn't been able to find one that close, but I think it's something that is a very specialized thing that chiropractors can do and will specialize in. And I just wanted to share it because I think it, for me, is going to be a game changer in embodying the rest of my higher self. And essentially that was the whole point of this experience, and also now strengthening up that portal, because as I always knew, anytime energy wanted to move through there, that's where it would come. And now I feel like I'm kind of like centered to myself, and like, as I build up the muscles to hold it in that equilibrium place, I hope that I'm going to be able to offset whatever is trying to move through there, which I believe is why I was given all this information to find this chiropractor. So I hope this is helpful. And, whenever we put out the call for spirit or our higher selves to help us, a lot of the times it's like allowing yourself to see what's right in front of you. I think I was painting that day and, just listening along, and it was like a half an hour into the episode that I was like, holy shit, they're talking to me. This is for me. This is exactly what I needed to hear. And what was happening that night that made me ask for the help was there was downloads coming through. There was energy moving through, and I couldn't sustain it. The body was in such pain that it woke me up, and I was like, I can't do this. I need help. So this is also a lesson in really listening, and if you need help in an area, asking for it and then letting it show its face to you and then acting on it. Because even though the first appointment didn't happen, I knew it needed to happen. So I made it happen. So I hope this is helpful for you guys. And as always, I'm going to share everything that I come across, because I think if it's happening to me, it could be happening to you as well.